Signatures of people wanted.
Would you mind? That's the last set. That's the last one.
Please.
Sure. Oh, you got, okay, I'll share over here. Okay, looks like we've got everybody here. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start by seating of alternates. Looks like we've got a full house, so the alternates will need to be seated. Next is adopting or changing the agenda. Any suggested changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes, which would be the June Board of Finance meeting, and there are minutes circulated, a few copies. Once you've had a chance to look at them, I'll entertain a motion to approve. You have a second? Okay. There's about a minute to take a look at it. Okay, any discussion or comments about the minutes? Hearing none, we'll go for a vote. All in favor of the minutes as presented? Opposed? Abstained? Okay, unanimous. Opportunity for public to speak. Any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, as most of you know, I'm Dan Eddy and I represent the Rec Commission at various boards, and I think I miscounted. I only have 8 copies of this, and I believe there's 9 of you folks. So, I apologize. Someone can look over someone's shoulder, I guess. These seem to be falling higher than passing them out. Somebody doesn't have a couple of maps here. Okay, Reggie got the top and the maps, so I don't know if
Do you have
everybody.
another set?
Down there or not. I have about 3 things I'd like to take a couple of minutes of your time to go over. First, I've taken the liberty to provide a copy of the ordinance that created the Rec Commission in 1967. I've highlighted the 2 most significant portions, which is the 3rd page here for you. The first, that I feel is significant, and you all have a package to go home and read, is said commission shall have the authority to establish, maintain, and operate such parks, playgrounds, swimming areas, and other recreation places and programs as it deems desirable for the residents of the town of Hartford. The second piece says, the commission shall have all the powers necessary and proper for the establishment, maintenance, and operation thereof, including the power to contract, to establish rules and regulations for the operation of such recreational places and programs, to charge reasonable fees for the use and maintenance of such places, and to cooperate with other local agencies. As we all know, I've had some differences of opinion. The Rec Commission is an appointed body. There are 7 members. We have a number of select persons here on this commission, and I am pretty sure probably all of you have appointed some of us that are on that commission. We try to represent the feelings of the select people that appoint us. I spent a considerable amount of time with former town attorney Judith Dixon to better understand not only this ordinance, but also the financial rights, responsibilities, and authority of a few other commissions and boards at my own expense. This ordinance doesn't give us the authority to veto projects, that's clear. but it is pretty comprehensive, and it certainly seems to have a broad enough scope to make us much more than an advisory commission. The Rec Commission believes that before any more money is spent on the field house, a comprehensive study of goals involved and financial costs to achieve those goals should be considered. The Rec Commission believes and has informed numerous boards of selectmen that we need viable regulation basketball space. We have also repeatedly refused to spend money on the field house as it cannot meet our needs in a financially responsible manner. The fifth page of this report, I don't know what happened to page 4, and I'm nervous as all get out, but the fifth page of this report shows a 100 by 100 foot metal structure with a 16-foot rafter height for $59,000. First thing I found on eBay when I looked it up. I spoke with a developer, contractor client of mine about a slab on grade with 3-foot sidewalls, thus raising the rafters to 19 feet. And this would cost approximately $43,000. I have no idea how much it would cost to erect, but my guess is not more than $30,000. So for $133,000, we could have a weather-tight structure large enough to have a high school regulation basketball court running one way and 2 regulation-sized junior high courts running across it. And that's my little freehand drawing here on the side. High school basketball court is 84 by 50. Junior high and below, and that's high school through adult. Junior high and below is 74 by 42. Instead, what we have, we're gonna spend $47,000 on a roof and $10,000 on doors and other minor improvements, I assume, since I haven't been privy to any cost reports on it. And we have a structure that still needs substantial outside sheathing and barely accommodates a regulation-sized junior high court, with 2 turnbuckles running completely across the court at approximately 9 feet in height. The basketball hoop is 10 feet high. We are probably too deep into this project to turn back, but we're not getting anywhere near a good return on our investment. So don't be surprised if there's a recurring capital expenditure request for $150,000 for a basketball court, because we're not solving the need. Don't misunderstand. If it's there, the Rec Commission will find a use for it. But there's only 4 feet on each end line to the wall. There's only 4 feet on one sideline to the wall. You get kids running at top speed, they're gonna be crashing into those rough walls that are only 2 by 4 construction. The Rec Commission doesn't feel this is really a safe structure to solve our needs for basketball facility in this town. It's not too late to create the proper Antonini project. Brown's Corner is overused. We need a playing surface 74 yards wide, which is the width of a soccer field plus 10 yards, and 140 yards long, which is a football field plus 10 yards. As proposed, the Antonini field is properly sized, but has an unacceptable slope. We do not need another sloped playing field, or otherwise, in fact. Page 7 in here shows the fall schedule of practices. The first column is Antonini. We have filled 6 of the 10 available spots. The second column is New Hartford Elementary. We have filled 7 of the 10 available spots. Third column is Bakerville. We have filled 4 of the 10 available practice times. Next column is Brody near the parking lot. We've filled 3 of the 10 available spots. The next one is the Brody in front of Berkshire Hall. We've filled 0 of the 10 available spots. The next one is the field in front of the field house. We have filled 0 of the 10 available spots. The final one is Brody South, where we have filled 5 of the 10 available spots. This results in a 35% use factor. Realistically, you're not going to be able to use all the spots all the time. So we're probably 60 to 70% of capacity. But clearly, we do not need another practice facility. we clearly do need a flat, level playing surface. The Rec Commission cannot emphasize the need for the flat playing surface enough. We need a girls' softball field. We do not have one. We need a softball or baseball field for the young adults. We do not have one. We have no field, well, that's what I just said. We have no field for adult softball or baseball. Our residents must play out of town, and the surrounding towns have limits on out-of-town participants. So some of our young adults who want to play can't. For the proposal for Antolini in its current form does nothing to solve our current problem. If all goes well, that field will be ready for use in the fall of 2014. Our need for flat level playing space will then be the same or greater. So between now and then and thereafter, the Rec Commission will probably continue to lobby for a flat level playing space. At a P&Z meeting, Dan LaPlante, who's a local farmer, was skeptical that the current plan with 6 inches of topsoil would be deep enough to hold enough moisture to hold grass during the dry seasons. The Rec Commissions believe we need the playing surface to be a professional opinion to make sure when the kids go to school, there's grass up there on that field. The best physical location for such a field is Antolini. So what does that mean? That means at some point in the future, 4 to 7 years from now, we're going to be tearing up everything you did to put in a flat level playing surface. At the last selectmen's meeting, they added about $11,000 to the base price of the new town truck because it made sense to do it right. They also added $44,000 to the renovation of Steel Road because it made sense to do it right. I submit, the Rec Commission submits, and hopefully to this board, it makes sense to build the Antolini field right. The maps that are in the back, this is Brody North, this is the field house area. The slope currently on that, is very near the same as what will be the ending slope on the Antolini field if it's built as proposed. And it's approximately the same size. No one is currently using it. The field in front of Berkshire Hall, no one is currently using. Last year, these fields were used. No one used New Hartford Elementary School. Brody South is currently being used by football. This field is the same size as the projected Antolini field. The slope is exactly the same as the ending slope on Antolini. This field is the same size as the projected Antolini field. The slope is a little greater. There will be a 4-foot rise from home plate to center field on the Antolini field as it is projected. The P&Z board didn't feel that was a huge issue. One of the members actually said they didn't think the girls would notice it. A 4-foot rise is this high on my chest. It's huge. If we want to build an inefficient field, let's make one of the Little League fields a girls' field and put the boys up on this A regulation field. And see how quickly you have fathers in here complaining that their sons have to play on a field that's less than adequate. I don't think we should be shortchanging our girls. I think they need a legitimate, flat playing surface. The selectmen have repeatedly said to this board, to B&Z, and to anyone who listen, that the Rec Commission is trying to build a Cadillac, and they're trying to build a Ford or Chevy. I believe the Rec Commission is trying to create adequate playing space, just level and flat, and the Board of Selectmen is trying to put a bunch of Bondo in a Yugo. So please, take a serious look at what we're doing in Antolini before we spend money. The final thing, when the Recreation Commission looked into this and other playing surfaces, and we spend a lot of time looking into things, the final piece, you'll see this report that shows that the substantial center of the area to be developed, and it's one of the reasons why it's going to be tough to make it flat, is bedrock. nearly all of the middle of the proposed field at Antolini is bedrock. So before we go further, I think we need a serious cost study in how to achieve a flat, level, that's it, no dugouts, no water system, a flat, level playing field that will support the grass, so when the kids go to school, it's a grassed playground. Thank you for your time this evening. If you have any questions, I'm here, or call me or the rec commission afterwards.
Yeah, if there's any questions or comments, you know, miss it.
So-
I think it's really,
Yeah, so
my
Dan,
first comment is, nice presentation.
I would just say that,
Hang on, let me just, I wanted to ask, I have a couple of questions real quick. Antolini,
Yes.
the rec commission has the power and authority to do what they need to do as designated and elected or appointed to do on the rec commission. So why does the rec commission feel that they have to come to the Board of Finance and not work between the rec commission and the Board of Selectmen? Is gonna be my first question. My second question is the Board of Selectmen solely driving this project at Antolini, or is there not any input by people on the rec commission that is going to work with the Board of Selectmen to say, this is what we need, this is how we should be doing it? And is there that daily or weekly collaboration?
There has been substantial interchange between the rec commission and the board of selectmen.
There has been, you said.
Yes.
Okay.
And seem to be intransient that they don't wanna spend any more than 40 or 50,000 on Antolini. They wanna build the field as designed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Committee. At that meeting, I approached them with the same concern, that if they're gonna do it, it should be done right. The interchange, and I'm gonna put it out, and I apologize, I don't know any other way to say this. The interchange between the rec commission and the board of selectmen has reached a point where myself and another member of the commission were told point blank that if we didn't shut up and get on board with the board of selectmen, we would find the rec commission unfunded. And then in a third instance, I was told, when my conversation wasn't in accord with selectmen, remember who funds the rec commission. We have reached a point where, and this started with the field house, we never felt any money should be spent up there. The selectmen said, for $50,000, it would be a waste not to save it for equipment storage. The rec commission said, great, just don't allocate the $50,000 to the rec board. Take it on as the road maintenance or that part of your budget. Fix it and use it for field storage because it's inappropriate to spend money on it as a basketball facility. This has been going on for a considerable amount of time. I'm here before the Board of Finance because I think that monies that before we go ahead and spend a lot of, when the rec commission looked at Antolini, when our engineering, the town engineers went up there, walked it, generated a report, and said to do it right, it would be between $200,000 and $350,000. The rec commission moved on to look at Brody North, to look at Brody South, to look at a number of parcels on Route 44, to look at a parcel off of Stedman Road, all of which we did significant research on. The Board of Selectmen stepped in approximately 6 months ago and said it will be at Antolini, and this is how we're doing it.
So I'm not one for one to sink money into something that's gonna have to be sunk again, I can tell you that, number one. Number two, I did see the results of the field house, and I thought the field house came up pretty nice for what they did, and I think it's something that needed to be done, in my opinion. There are assets in town that need to be protected, and I prefer not to see those assets have to be replaced again and again if they deteriorate and get destroyed because of the weather and storing these things outside or off-site somewhere, whether it's the boat, the tractors, the trailers, all of that. I think it's the right thing. In terms of sports, I think from a rec commission standpoint, you guys gotta figure out a way to work this out, and it's gotta be to the point where you're collaborating and communicating, or I'm gonna be the first one to stand up and say, we ought to build that sports complex up at Brody South and solve everybody's problem and do it all in one area. Soccer, football, baseball, you name it, everything. Pave it in there, fence it off, put a stadium in there, and that's it. Make everybody happy. And leave the school alone. But think you guys gotta figure out a way to work this out. Because it's not really something that should be coming to the Board of Finance month after month.
It's really not, the budgetary issues, that go before the town, that then this board ensures that the money is spent appropriately, is this board's venue. The field house issue, Dan and I differ significantly on. Dan's vision of allowing the roof to fall in on the field house is not what I envision as good management.
Dan, I just
So,
said,
excuse me, please, you've had-
we completely agree
May I finish,
to
please?
use
You've
it
had your
as
time.
storage.
The,
Don't put words in my mouth, Dan.
there are a lot of opportunities at the field house, but when the DPW staff tells me that the roof is going to fall in and they won't go up and put a tarp on it again, I think it's time to put a roof on the building. I think that shows good judgment and vision of preserving and protecting town-owned assets. Above and beyond the roof, this year we put in $20,000 into the building to take care of all existing code violations, so now we can have legal assemblies for our race around the lake, Big Wheels at Brody, which wasn't held this weekend, and other functions there where we can now put up to 300 people in that building legally and safely. Fire code violations, push doors, the simple things that we take for granted so that we don't get sued, God forbid something were to happen and a child or somebody was injured. So all these things that have laid fallow for so long by those in charge of our parks were taken care of by your Board of Selectmen to protect the interests of the people of this town. With regard to Antolini was one of the sites that was under consideration for the field. The Board of Selectmen quickly looked at the Stedman Road property and decided that it was a dead-end street and not an appropriate venue to take 100 or so cars up there on a daily basis and change the total nature of the neighborhood when we had existing infrastructure. A lot of this has already been asked and answered many times at town meetings throughout our budget process. With regard to Chevys and Cadillacs, when you talk about developing sports fields and the attitudes or the perceptions and the style of fields you want to have, I just tell people to think about what Brown's Corner was 30 years ago and what it is now. We can't afford in this economy to start throwing huge sums of money around. We can protect assets like the field house and bring them up to stuff and make them legal and safe. But when it comes to expanding a facility, and here we are in the midst of another great project where we estimated all along that we would take $25,000 to double the size of field at Antolini. We've got bids who are under contract now at $23,000. We're going to expand that field. And the P&Z commissioner who reviewed the proposal and gave the expert input, a surveyor with vast experience, said that the change in the slope at 4 feet over 300 feet is insignificant. All sports fields on recreational basis have some slope to control drainage. If you go to Giant Stadium, it's crowned. It has a 2-foot crown in the middle. This is acceptable, okay? When we talk about trying to move, Ann Antolini's field forward into the future, we do that over time with small increments of our budget, and we'll be fine. If we want to have it all and want to have it now and want to have a giant stadium-style facility, you can spend $1 million. I doubt the taxpayers of this town would appreciate that sentiment. I think it's our job to use prudence and conservative vision to take care of the needs, and that's what we've done. Mr. Eddy disagrees, and he's welcome to his opinion, but I think that we've shown good judgment in taking care of the field house and got it to a position now where it can be used for a lot of different things. We've broken the building into 2 areas, so we have a public portion of the building, and we have a storage facility that's secure to protect our equipment under lock and key so that we don't have things stolen, so we protect town assets. And we have the open recreational space where we're still gonna have to store all of the parks and recs, tractors and lawnmowers and picnic tables and, extra stuff for the beach. But, to think that it's all DPW in that building is a misnomer.
Would we be would we be okay to ask for something in writing, whoever is, doing the plans, the engineering, whatever, to satisfy us, so we don't have to sit here and scratch our heads and say, well, we don't know what's going on because we're here on the rec commission saying this, and then we're getting this from our Board of Selectmen, so we can just feel comfortable and not be going in front of the taxpayers, not this coming budget year when the money is being, asked for to finish whatever has to be finished, but it's the following year if we have to go in and dip again, and they're gonna say, what's going on here? I don't wanna be in that situation again.
In terms
I
of
don't
code,
think I need a
This is
solution to
Dan's-
that situation.
This is
Hold on,
Dan's
my
map.
solution My solution to
Hold
that
on to that.
situation would be to
No,
put
that's
zero
the damn
money in the budget.
Yeah.
You know,
To cover
we're
the
not here to be the
excuse me.
referee for the Board of Selectmen and the Recreation Commission. This is what this is turning into.
That's right.
Exactly.
I just like to finish
Because
my
we
comment.
can't,
I'm sorry, Mr.
we
Chairman.
do have, we do
Excuse me,
have,
I'd like to finish my comment if I could. My push, I understand where you're coming from.
I don't
My
wanna be
put- my
scratching
put-
my head in front of taxpayers again.
My put would be to zero out the money for basketball, field house, whatever improvements for basketball. Zero out the new soccer field budget money. Zero it out and say, when the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Recreation can come together on a plan that they both agree with, we'll fund it out of surplus.
That's probably a better idea,
And,
right?
and, you know, require something to be put together that people agree on and then fund it. I don't think the taxpayers would have a whole lot of heartache with that.
Could I add one more thing to what you just said? Perhaps a way to help to reach an agreement might be to form a committee made up of the selectmen and rec and so forth, and really look at the needs of the town, sports-wise, and how to satisfy them. And I would feel comfortable with whatever the recommendation would be. Thank you.
I think
don't know what the answer is, but, I mean, that's, you've heard different opinions on, quite a variety of opinions on what to do, but
I heard Reggie
I
say
think
referee, I
Reggie's
agree.
point was, it's not our issue at the Board of Finance to resolve, I think, Dan, that was your point as well. It certainly is a problem, I appreciate the homework that was done here. There's a huge gap in terms of objectives between the two boards, it would seem. In my mind, our next shot at addressing that is the next time we consider a budget. Reggie?
I'll repeat my statement, Dan. You've come here month after month after month, and I feel you're looking for a referee to make a decision over the Board of Selectmen. When you have financial issues, I'll repeat myself, I will always listen to you on it. But if you're not getting any headway with the selectmen, it rests between your two boards. The selectmen are the ones that come and ask for funds with supporting documentation from the Recreation Commission at budget time. If there is an overage or a project that needs to be funded mid-fiscal year, then it still needs to be channeled through the Board of Selectmen to us. I appreciate your time, I appreciate your energy on this, and how much passion you're putting into this. I can tell you're not getting what you want on this. But I really don't want to be a referee anymore, Ben, on this. I think this board should draw the line on it.
I would also say, if you wanna have another extensive conversation on this, and if you give me an email and request that we put it on the agenda, and if this could be anything like this, then it belongs on the agenda. We wanna take away from what you did, okay, we've gone through it, but if we're gonna do another one like this, next time it'll need to be on the agenda. Okay, any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go on to the reports, starting with the bookkeeper's report.